to the late review, and it's been about 2 weeks. We're going into the third week today of the Curse of Osiris, and this is the review. The new expansion is the Taken King size expansion. It brings no rolling changes to the core experience, but we need to put this into perspective, and we need something to compare it to. So for me personally, that will be the House of Wolves, and more detail on that later. Story. First things first, let me tell you about what the expansion entails. This is a whole 8 story missions, a single patrol space, the size of what in Destiny 1 would be called a single mediocre Lost Sector, a single public event, which I believe is the biggest and best public event in the game, which isn't saying much since it's just jumping from teleporter to teleporter left and right. It ends up being a mess with the surrounding area. There's an additional 2 strikes, which I may get into later, about being part of the story, but spoilers, there's 3 adventures, and the ability to do 1 a week as a heroic adventure. This is locked. You literally can't do more than that. With no replayability, and 200 items were added in the entire expansion. 100 are earnable and 100 are purchasable in Eververse. Purchasable with the opportunity to earn them with Illuminati engrams, but that is a story for another time, you know? I always get confused with the side, but I think I'll put a link in the card over there. The Eververse store loot boxes, 12 quests in total. Now, we know that 1 has been unlocked in week 2, and this is the same 14 shotgun. So I'm not entirely sure how these are spread about. I'm not sure how many we've done so far with just the base story. A raid activity, which is a welcome change as opposed to the old ones in Destiny 1, where they'd be completely tied into the DLC and completely broken apart, which I believe this is a better step towards the future in continuing the raid experience. And a total of 3 new Crucible maps, I think 1 of which is a PlayStation exclusive. Now those 8 new missions. First playthrough, killing everything with mild exploration. You could take about 2 to 2.5 hours, but I've heard rumors going about that you can finish it in about 90 minutes, which is about an hour and a half for those of you without... Even I don't have a watch. But if you play Destiny 1 and you're a fan, you'll know the term content drown. And this does end it. Does it end it well? No. First day, yeah, first character, you're in and you're out. Is it written well with the bunch of lore implications and the deep exploration into Osiris? Maybe not. Is it entertaining? Is it filled with a bunch of cutscenes and a cool boss fight at the end? Besides the mechanics, like, you know, if you've played it, you'll understand. Yeah, definitely. Unfortunately, that's where it ends. Let's get on to the first point of the review, and this is longevity. Dun dun dun! I don't have a soundboard if you haven't figured it out yet. This is where the expansion inevitably falls flat. Destiny and the base game is about repetition and reward, and I didn't feel like I was rewarded at times. Yes, that may seem contradictory to the point I made first, but I did everything the first launch week. All my flashpoints, all the new heroic strikes, my Crucible, everything except for Trials of Osiris, linked to the same previous video. well, I guess you'll have to go back for the same link because cards don't work like that. But you'll know with the exotic Promethean lens why that was impossible. And then the Leviathan raid, because, you know, the first raid is old news when there's a new one out. Now, from Tuesday till Sunday night, I completed every activity, and my character ended up being about 320 something. I'm not entirely sure because it's been a week now since, and I have done an additional set of weekly activities. And I've exhausted all the expansion had to offer. All the forging weapons, everything. Like, there was nothing left. Running around strikes, completing things. And I appreciate that I didn't hit level cap within the first week, but, you know, maybe with the trials and the Leviathan raid and the raid layer, maybe we could have. I didn't feel the reason for, or any reason to need to play it through with my second character, other than out of boredom, and for my light to go up, which I inevitably did, even though a light level doesn't make a difference. You know, I will put up a little screenshot or something of my characters, maybe run through their gear or whatever for what you can expect out of 2 weeks worth of grinding. But let's move on to the next point. Barriers to entry. Now, that would mean you'd need the base Destiny 2 game, 2 to 5 friends, to enjoy at least half the content, this being the quote-unquote end game. And honestly, let's be honest here, Destiny's guided games has fallen flat, and the system has failed. For me personally, who has a clan of max capacity and a plethora of people waiting in line to join as soon as a spot opens up, with, I'd say, about 80% of the people in the clan playing on my platform, specifically the PlayStation 4, I still struggle and scramble to find a sixth, even though I have my 5 regular friends. And I'm sure if you ever see me playing, you'll probably notice that it's with the same group of people. Anyway, you know, Destiny's moved away from the moved to the casual style of play. And gone are the days where 2 very good skilled players could carry an entire raid team of 6. You know, where you could die and it wouldn't hinder the experience, which I appreciate. It's the better death mechanic and means there's more cooperation and you feel like everyone is doing their part, but it's also more punishing, which makes it all the more rewarding when you complete it. But anyhow, I'm dragging this point on way too long. The point is you need a minimum of 2 additional players, and not only that, but do your friends need to have similar schedules and if you're not prepared to do so, you need to be prepared to possibly fail with some randoms. The next point I'm going to talk about is value. Honestly, let's move on. Is it worth it? 300 Rand. What is that? The camera stand I'm using, the nice day out, The Last of Us on sale. I feel like I can't personally compare it monetary. But what I will compare it to is it worth time, and is it worth foregoing a different experience? Short answer is simply yes. But if you want a longer answer, and I will go into this, no. It feels like The Dark Below and the House of Wolves. Quick content rushed out that was made with the base game, with the same problems, and it just feels recycled, and more issues are being brought than with the implementation than are being fixed. And let's get to them. Heroic Strikes. If you've played Destiny 1's base game, we had this content on day 1. And with Destiny 2, it was put behind a DLC paywall. Without buffs, variation, then if you want to know the truth, 2 of them was story missions that were bumped up to have 1,000 extra health per enemy. Is that really what we paid for? What we want? Moving on to exotics. Let's go back in time to when we lost our entire inventory. The vault was wiped clean and we were convinced and forced to believe that it would be for a better and fresh start. But now I'm feeling it's lazy. And about half of the new content is recycled, stuff that we were meant to leave behind. And I feel like I'm in an abusive relationship with Destiny where she beats me, gives me the bare minimum, patches me up, and then comes back 3 months to do the same thing after promising she'd change. Masterworks. The dumbed down, watered down, casual friendly version of random rolls with poor drop rates. And I suppose it's a solution to a problem, but they aren't. And after spending 2,000 gunsmith materials, three little Ingram packages open per 100, with the extra from dismantling, I only got about 8 when they first came out, and 2 of which were doubles. Let's be honest, the perks are negligible, and the time the live team comes back from holiday, I'm assuming everyone will have every masterwork that they want, maybe even some extras, or find out some guns that they appreciate that they never thought of before. This is my conclusion. My love affair with Destiny is ending. And this is coming from a guy who has about 3,000 hours in game in Destiny 1. When I looked at my stats for Destiny 2, it's a measly 200. And yes, I've definitely got my money's worth out of the base game and the DLC, but this isn't what I signed up for. And I feel like I've been put down this road before. A thin story with an exotic gun that ruled the Crucible, and a single boss after a bunch of running around sections with a bunch of mobs. And now Bungo and Activision are back at their old tricks, locking people behind DLC paywalls, and half the items are now in the Eververse store. It's taking solace in the fact that there is no learning from the story of the Taken King, or the cutscenes of Rise of Iron, or the generous loot of the Age of Triumph. Bungie and Activision are backtracking from their 3-year-long early access called Destiny 1. And it turns out that Destiny 2, the bigger, better experience, ended up being a watered down and covered with shady practices, and the community are finally getting tired of. Here's my plea to the developers. The concept needs a complete overhaul, and I don't want to wait another 3 years to make Destiny my daily driver. I've gone on way too long, and I appreciate the support for getting this far in the video. And I only ask that you like, sub, and no, I'm kidding. No, really I am. But just keep the conversation going. Get Bungie to understand what we're coming off from, and, you know, we don't support that shady shit. Thanks for watching.